Victoria, you heard there Prince Charles reacting really to the sort of public reaction to the loss of his father, and just reminding us of the importance, obviously, of the Duke of Edinburgh to the royal family. What's your reaction to that?
I think more than anything, I'm sure most people hearing that, it was obviously quite emotional. You know, he wasn't talking about the Duke of Edinburgh. He was talking about my dear papa, called him a special person. And for many people, I think that is something we kind of forget about the royals. They do have that human side to them as well. So I think emotional is the word I would use.
I mean, where are we in relation to, we now know more about the funeral on Saturday. It's not a state funeral, but it's an important ceremonial funeral being conducted in a pandemic, so with the restrictions that you would expect. But just, will you sort of place historically, if you like, this moment and what this moment means, you think, for the nation and for our country?
I do think it's kind of the beginning of a new era or the end of an old one. You know, the Queen is also advancing. She's 95 this month. And I think it's all kind of got us thinking that soon we are going to have this big changing of the guard, to use that military terminology, that we are going to have the end of that Elizabethan era. And this is kind of the beginning of it, I think. With the pandemic and in terms of the funeral as well, this does change things kind of traditionally, historically. The last three royal consorts we've had have lain in state. So the Queen Mother, Queen Mary and Queen Alexandra, they have all lain in state. The public could file past and mourn their loss. Of course, we can't have that with Prince Philip because of the pandemic, but equally, I think Philip didn't want that. A few years ago, it was actually commented by a royal aide that he didn't think he deserved that. He didn't think he was that important. So I think this kind of coincidentally chimes in with what Philip would have wanted, but it does show a shift in the way I think potentially future royal events could happen. You know, this scaled back version saves the taxpayer some money. There's not as much going on in terms of policing the streets and crowds. And I think potentially Prince Charles might think about this further down the line once, of course, the grief has settled a little bit, as to a new way of potentially doing these big royal events.